thank you for being down. Tequila Mockingbird's been one of those bands that has always been kind of on my radar, and I'm really stoked to kind of finally have y'all on the show.
Oh, thank
Hell
you.
yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I
Appreciate
think a
it.
lot of our friends from Michigan on it, so
Yeah. Well, and then between the band and then obviously the Goblin Zone stuff, I always hear nothing but good things about y'all. So I'm
Hell
really
yeah.
really happy to have y'all on.
we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, then my only question for the two of you is, I know Kiefer, I can see your beer already, but do you have an unopened beverage that you like to participate in the opening crack with?
Yeah, I didn't open it yet. It's like this Founders IPA. It's okay. I usually because we're from Michigan, I usually try to go for Bell stuff, but the market that I walked to grab my beer didn't have any of that, so I just picked something else.
That's fair. I got a good
Miller
old
Lite.
hams for this
Oh,
episode.
rock on!
Ham's house. First shout out of
Crazy
the episode.
story.
Shout out
So
Ham's house.
yeah, there was a venue called Ham's House, and it was in
It was
like
the basement
downtown
of
Lansing.
Toronto.
It was in downtown Lansing. I don't know if it's technically a duplex would be what you would call it, but there was like a
It was a
kitchenette.
condo.
Yeah, it's like a condo, but there was a kitchenette and a just like two rooms. But literally, the kitchenette is where you would play the shows. And there's like 40
Yeah.
people max, and that's where I played a show with Saturdays at Your Place right around when tarot cards dropped.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
At that
pretty
show,
crazy.
I asked them to play the Goblin Zone. But yeah, tiniest little floor space I've ever played. Literally, it's like you're playing in basically their kitchen, and it's like the room. There was enough room to fit the kid off to the left, and then
Oh, dude, it was bad.
you just figured it out. You just crushed your band in there. It was maybe 4 feet by 6 feet of floor space total. Tiniest little floor space. Not the smallest overall venue we've ever played, but definitely the smallest stage we've ever played on.
I think we gotta shut up and do like opening crack.
Yeah, we'll talk too much. So let's
Yeah.
crack these.
No, yeah, we'll have a good time after this. So I'll count us down. We'll crack our drinks. I'll do the little intro, bring the two of you in, and we'll just have a good time.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. Very stoked on this week's episode. This is, I think, one band that's, like I kind of mentioned earlier, has been on my radar for quite a while. I'm sitting down with Tequila Mockingbird today. How y'all doing?
We're doing all right.
Hello.
We're doing all right.
Rocking and rolling.
Hell yeah!
I'm getting over a cold. I work with
it's that time of year.
high schoolers. So
Yeah.
You're on a bunch of them. You get sick eventually. It's great.
Yeah, true. Like I mentioned, I got Tequila Mockingbird on. For people that aren't aware, emo from Lansing, Michigan, doing some amazing stuff. Before we kind of get too far into the weeds, can you kind of go between the two of you and say who you are and what you do in Tequila Mockingbird?
Yeah, I can. I'm Joe Mockingbird. I play guitar. I sing. This band started off as kind of just like a solo project for me for years, and then got to the point where when you're a solo project, you don't really get treated with a lot of respect, and I just hit like a threshold one day, and I was like, no. And then I think Keith was the first person that I told that I was like, no, I can't do this shit anymore.
Well, I think because you had
A horrible show.
agreed to do the Charmer cover set before you even decided to go full band on full band. I think you were already doing the Charmer cover set just to do it.
Maybe. I don't know.
And I think you
Timelines
wanted
for
to
shit
do it
like
full
that.
band, and then doing it full band was part of it. I don't know, but yeah,
Who knows?
something like that happened.
And then,
I'm Cooper. I play bass. I joined Tequila 2 years ago. I don't know. You were full band for 6 months or so. Joe played a Charmer cover set at my house, and then played a Pleasant Underground promotion called Point Five Fest.
It was pretty good.
And then
It was fun.
after that, I joined the band. So,
Yeah.
I don't know how 6 months or so.
It was like 3, because the Charmer one happens in October, and then that show happens in December, late December, early
Yeah.
January.
What was our first full band show? Was it movies like Juno Fest or whatever? One of those Gavin festivals or something?
Something like that. You know what? I don't remember. There's okay, and I will say for full disclosure, Michigan gets spoiled when it comes to big fest and
Oh
local fest.
yeah.
We have too many. We're straight up spoiled. It's not fair. It's not fair. Um, I, I don't know how it happened, but we're glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because isn't there like a new one coming up too that's like I wish I was in Michigan Fest or something like that.
Yeah, I'd rather be in
Yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah,
So that's
I don't think
crazy.
that's going to be a recurring thing. That's kind of just like a one-off thing the Saturdays guys set up because their like promoter let them set up their own show, and then
That's
Bell's
cool.
also let them set up their own show. So they just wanted. I think that's just like a one-off thing they're doing. I don't think that's going to recur. But yeah, that is happening this year too.
yeah,
And for those of you who are beer heads wondering, yeah, that is like the Bells, like the Oberon and Two Hearted and All Day. Those makers, that is the Bells. That's like their home base, basically. It's kind of crazy.
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
But I mean, the nice thing is like obviously you guys have this crazy amount of fests that happen in Michigan, but there's also like so many good bands coming out of Michigan as well.
Yes.
Like obviously we know like the heavy hitters like Saturdays, Hot Mulligan and stuff like that. But like even if you people that aren't aware of like the more DIY scene that's going on, obviously we have y'all, we have oh now this is where I'm going to blank on like everybody that's in Michigan.
Final boss fight, no problemo. Clipboards.
Yeah,
Loud Fox Cult has a single that does really well every time. Motion Sick. There's so many. There's so many bands who are doing very good for themselves right now from Michigan. Charmer, Charmer, Rock on Charmer. Liquid Mike, like Liquidated Michael. Yeah. We're like Michigan's like one of those cities or like those areas where people don't really think about how big their influence is or how many important bands come from it. And then they look it up and they go, "Oh, La Dispute. Oh, they're from Michigan." You know what I mean? It's one of those silent influencer type of areas.
yeah. Yeah, it's killer just seeing everything that's coming out of there, and like we talked about it kind of earlier before the episode started, all the mutual homies that have been on the show representing Michigan, and just all the good that's coming out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I love Michigan. Every time I think about moving, I'm like, I don't know, man. I can't. I can't do it. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, and very humble. I think the culture from like the DIY up, for the most part, is just so accepting and die hard because like people will drive multiple hours across the street, not across the street, across the state to go to anything, to go to like anything. They'll just drive 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and that's just not a normal culture thing.
Yeah, because I think that's one thing that people don't realize too is with everyone in Michigan, like you guys aren't all in the same like vicinity. Like obviously, like we mentioned, like Charmer, they're up in the UP, so like they're kind of further up there, having to come down.
Oh, it's like 7.5 hours away.
Yeah,
It's it's halfway across the country, basically. I mean, not really. Like it's so the UP is so radically different than the Lower Peninsula.
I'm trying to think if I put my hand up what side it is, so that's the wrong way. Yeah. So like you look at Michigan on a map, and dude, it's like there's like pockets of stuff in the Detroit area. There's pockets of stuff in the center, in like Lansing, right in there. There's a little bit now in Grand Rapids. The rest of this, it's nothing. It's trees. 80% of the state has basically nothing going on, and it's weird, and it's a very car-dependent state, despite having terrible roads. I think statistically, like one of the most car-dependent states in the entire country because of the whole automotive thing, and then the entire state got destroyed by that when the automotive industry decided that we weren't the Mecca anymore. It was so you get a lot of these places and cities like Saginaw, Michigan, where you go there and dude, it's freaky. It's like a ghost town there. There's so many like empty parking lots and like actually nothing going on in that city besides, you know, the bands that keep local scenes and everything together. But like there are so many cities like that in Michigan where it's like there's basically nothing here. And then once you go past Lansing, northern Michigan, oh, there isn't much there. There isn't much there. We're a Midwest state through and through because a lot of those small cities they have maybe 2 or 3 things. They have a gas station, they have maybe a market, and they have a liquor store, and that's it.
Yeah, checks out.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of income disparity in Michigan. So like I don't know. It's just like a weird vibe that just like all the hardcore fans for music, and I think it's partially like the whole Detroit Rock City thing. But super good crowds every time, no matter what venue or no matter what genre you're seeing. The crowds are always mostly engaged until the audiences get older than 35. Then what do you expect?
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like that happens kind of everywhere, and then there's those pockets where like those like older heads kind of get back into things. So then you get to a show, and it's just like, as someone that's like early 30s, you're like, I'm the youngest person here, and this almost feels like completely weird because I'm used to being like the oldest person at a show.
Yeah,
that's kind of Joe and everything too. Maybe not Joe so much. Joe is a little bit younger, but I'm like about to turn 28, and I actually literally had this the other day when I was at a house show for like a new venue, and it was like Valentine's Day, and me and my partner were just kind of hanging out, and I did a quick scan of the room, and I realized I was the oldest person in the room, and I literally turned to my partner and said, "We need to leave right now. I'm not about to be the oldest person in this room." And then we promptly exited. But yeah, I'm starting to get Joe's still got a few years before he gets there, but our scenes, we're definitely starting to age on our scene a little bit out here in Lansing.
And that's fine. It's a college town, so you need fresh, new, younger people coming in. It's always funny to see like people follow the Tequila account and they're like graduating 2028, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, no. But like time only moves forward.
Yeah.
Time only moves forward, and like it's cool. Young kids are always going to be into emo because just like how the genre works.
So yeah, I think because like that happens in, obviously, like I'm from the Iowa City area, so like it's the same college town. Kids kind of rotate through. It's great because one, there's always kind of new bands starting up to kind of keep pumping the scene, but then it sucks because they'll all graduate and they're like, well, we're all going different places in life, so like this band's done. It's like we're putting out such great stuff, and it was great to like have them in the scene, so it's such like a bummer to like lose someone, but then you're going to gain someone like next year.
Yeah, you know what, you're right, because there was like 6-ish months where I would text Kiefer and I'd be like, dude, who the fuck is in Lansing right now? Like, because we were the old guard the old guard, and now we still are, which is kind of weird to think about. And then there's been like 10-ish bands over the course of like the past year who have popped up and are making completely different music than us. I think our little pocket and our little generation is probably the most emo one, right? The most wiggly one.
Yeah, we kind of, our little like generation of the Lansing music scene started in like 2020, end of 2020, 2021 area. And it was definitely very emo pop punk. Like a lot of the bands we were starting out and playing with all kind of sounded like Hot Mulligan or like Prince Daddy and the Hyena, or
what you'd expect.
Really big around the time. And now there's like the newer generation of bands is a little more. They're a little
jam
more
band.
They're just a little more eclectic. They have like a bit broader influences that they're bringing into their music sounds. It feels like. And it's definitely a lot less emo tinged now.
Yeah, it's always funny because even when like the emo stuff was going on, like the way that I got into emo is like excessively weird because I started from like the deep end of the pool first because I was a big post-hardcore guy. I'm wearing an Unwound shirt. I was a big like post-hardcore guy, and I used to go on like forums to find out bands. So I started in the deep end of the pool with like the post-hardcore emo tinge stuff, and I only in my 20s and like early 20s super got into a lot of these like foundational bands for a lot of people. Like even though the bands that I chose to get into from like fourth wave, like I had heard of Captain We're Sinking and Marietta before I had heard a modern baseball album willingly. Or like I had heard a Bear versus Shark album before I had heard a full Fall Out Boy record willingly. So it was weird to like talk to people about stuff, and there was of course some crossover I had. Our specific pocket, our age group, 20, I'd say 23 to about 28, 29. We all know where we were when Remo Drive's greatest hits, that era was going on, and
Yeah.
they were like going to take over the world. At the time, man, that band had a feverish cult-like fan base to the point where like even like Fantano and the guys who were reviewing those like greatest hits, they were like, okay, like I'm covering it. But yeah, I came in from the deep end of the pool and then went to like the more popular stuff, and then realized like, hey, the first two Fall Out Boy records, those are pretty good, and stuff like that. It's weird how I got into emo, and then I think I heard about Cap and Jazz and American football because my high school English teacher played like a show with Cap and Jazz in like the 90s. And yeah, it's weird. But I don't really stop listening to all the weird guitar shit. So that's. I was gonna circle back to that and say like, so it's funny because like the new gen of like these kids who like are super influenced by like a lot of Strokes influences back again. Whatever. The Indie Sleaze is back. It's always funny to talk to them and be like, clap my hands together and be like, so have you heard of a band called At the Drive-In? And most of the times they haven't. I did that.
Yeah, no, but it's awesome that you're still like listening to everything else because I feel like I enjoy bands that kind of have like more of a wider range of influences when they're listening to stuff. Like as much as I listen to emo music all the time, I don't want the band I'm listening to be directly derived from like all the emo albums that are out there. Like you want that influence in there.
I think there's right now, especially in emo, there's a lot of bands that are very fourth wave worship that are doing very good right now, and I'm happy for those bands that are doing that because obviously that's just like a sound that will resonate with especially young, impressionable kids forever. And I think you need to have a breakup song with some twinkle guitars if you're 16 and you just went through a breakup. I think that's just something, whether it's movies like Juno by Midwest Pen Pals or some trash song, you gotta hear it at some point in your life. But yeah, I don't know. I always love the bands that you can't place your finger on their influence or they're one of one. Like I don't know. I just got into Thrice last year, funnily enough. It's a band I totally should have gotten into earlier, but one of one band. And then of course Keeper and I, we listen to heavy shit all the time. So like we're big on Converge, right? Dillinger Escape Plan, mathcore shit like that. And those bands are kind of one on one. And then I don't know. I just keep trying to listen to music and find stuff that I like, even in genres that I typically don't like. I think the more music you listen to, the better a human being you're gonna become. 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, but we kind of see, and obviously we're here to talk about your debut LP. You Always Felt Lost. Like, there's so much going on in this record that it is like really cool because like obviously we kind of end off. Motor City kind of gets like this little post-hardcoreness kind of going on towards the end of it. Open Fire.
Yes.
like,
Like
oh,
Motor City ends with a fucking black metal outro.
which is wild because like no one else right now in the scene is doing that. So to like end off on that is just amazing to fucking see it pulled off.
Yeah, dude, that's listening to too much Death Heaven. Too much Death Heaven, and there's a band from Illinois called Frail Body,
Yep.
and they're like a screamo, and oh my god, yeah, that record from like 2 years ago, I think it's called Artificial Bouquet. Holy shit, like fastest drumming you'll ever hear, um, and then just the craziest screams ever. Um, but yeah, I love throwing in shit like that. I remember when we were workshopping it. Um, I think I was just like, I don't know what to do with this outro, and then Maverick started trying. Our drummer, who's a firefighter, by the way, rock on. I was like, "Do you think you could do a blast beat?" And he was like, "Okay." Practicing that was a nightmare because I'm doing the tremolo picking, but it's not like one string on that section of the song. I'm raking across the strings. And then
With
Keeper,
this,
tell me the little bass shit that you were doing at the end of Motor City that was so funny.
I just like punched in like 3 notes of it's like a wham effect. And like I just like played like a couple of harmonics and like did it. I think it's actually 6 notes. I do it twice, but the first time in the mix is pretty quiet. But that's like that weird ass crazy noise like right towards the end of the song is like it's actually like harmonics on the bass with like a whammy and it's like 2 octaves or something.
You hear that like
It was fun. It took like it took longer to figure out how to track it than it took to track it. Like
yeah,
it took probably 10 times as long for our producer to figure out like how to set it up on his like he would stomp with an expecting pedal, and then we had to figure out how to. It had like super crazy latency at first, so we had to figure out how to turn off the latency or get the latency to minimal, and then tracked it in 2 takes.
and
So,
then
like,
I spent like 5 minutes in the room that they had like the guitar cabs and everything in. And I put my headphones on to get the weird sounds that you're hearing from them, and I have this fucked up $50 bit crusher that just makes it's honestly a pretty good bit crusher, especially for single notes, but it makes awful sounds with a lot of distortion. So I just turned on all my pedals and I kept just switching knobs and like the grossest feedback ever, and I'm just laughing my ass off just sitting on my knees playing with like the knobs on the pedal, and that's a bit of how the sausage is made. So the weird shit you hear at the end of like Motor City is like an hour of recording progress. You think it took like 2 seconds?
that's wild. With this being the first LP, obviously you guys have a few EPs that have been out for a while. Did you guys feel like it was a hurdle to kind of rethink the mindset to go in to do an LP compared to like an EP?
You know, that's funny because I keep talking to Kiefer and Maverick about this. I was like, so until the album comes out, everything we do is non-canon. Because like even bands that you like adore or like a lot of times, they have been toiling in the underground for years, and you don't even know it until you look it up. And you're like a great example is Glassjaw, whose first album comes out in 1999. They started in '93. What the fuck were they doing for the first 6 years? Or like I love like bands like Circus Survive, but how many times are you listening to that EP that came out before the album came out, or the really early demo singles like that, like or even a band like Joyce Manor, who I think they had a couple splits in like an EP before their album came out. How many times are you listening to that stuff? Not that often. In a lot of people's minds, the first LP is when just the band starts. So going into it, I was like, yeah, it's nice that we have all this stuff, and a lot of it we, retroactively I'm kind of proud of, because a lot of those songs were like, you know, first songs, whatever. I wrote some okay songs on the earlier EPs, but like, yeah, I was just like, we can do whatever we want on the first album. Who gives a shit? I think another example would be Block Party. Block Party Silent Alarm is fantastic, but they have like 5 EPs before them, which have some great songs on it. Like there's a song on Block Party's EP. One of them is called like Skeleton. And it's still like one of their like highly acclaimed songs. But other than that, like anything you do pre-album 1, oh my god. Anything you do pre-album 1, it's kind of non-canon. Unless it's like Seosin's translating the name, right? Where it's so foundational to music that it lives on. So that's kind of mentality going into this. I was like, okay, well this is where we lay the foundation, you know?
Yeah. With like this being quote unquote like the start of Tequila Mockingbird, if you want to think about it that way, was there a reason that you wanted to bring Wonderhoy back from like the EP and like rework it into this album?
Oh yeah, because it's a good song.
Well, yeah.
When we were starting off, to fill out the 30 minutes, I had to do a lot of the older songs and re-record them so that we would have 30 minutes of material and not just do covers the whole time. So there was a couple of the songs that we went through, and that was just one where it just made sense. I did the Fuck Off and Die Green Day thing where it's just acoustic for the first half and then the full band comes in and it's super big. And I love dynamics and shit like that. So it's like a unique thing on the record to have that there. And I think it's cute to have it start off with the electric and whatever. And then, you know, it goes into full band. I think it kind of shows the progress of the band to a degree.
Yeah.
And then there's that crazy fucking tapping riff on that final chorus. That and like the weird R2D2 noise right before it goes into the final chorus. And it was I don't know. There was a couple that I was thinking about doing. I keep joking and saying that we'll re-record the whole thing on the 10-year anniversary of it, but I don't know.
No, yeah, it's a solid song. I know, looking through a couple of comments on Instagram, I think people are really stoked to kind of hear the reimagined version. When it drops.
That one's for the diehards, man. We played a show recently with No Problemo Lobster Fight Star Student, which was a very fun show. And weirdly enough, that was I guess it was not weirdly enough. It's just, you know, you see your friends and it's like almost like a full circle moment to see them like they were like screaming the lyrics on that song front row, which is really cool. And then of course, you know, I like telling them, yeah, this one's gonna be on the album, and like 2 or 3 of them were freaking out. They're like, is it really? Is it really? Yeah, of course. Gotta reward the hardcore fans, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Throw them a bone.
I got to one part in the album. You know, it's about midway through when we get to Cold Embrace. That song hit hard. Like kind of gets like deep heaviness. There's the one line that you guys say, I learned that silence is the true sound of death. And like that whole ending sequence for that song, like when that was over, I had to just like stop and like not listen to anything for like a second just to like regather my thoughts and like everything, because like I don't think people are ready for Cold Embrace to kind of hit them in the face right now.
No, I don't. I really don't think they are. There's 2 major influences for that song, and one is Invalid Litter Department by At the Drive-In, which it's in the middle of the record. I think it's also the track 5 on that album, and it's a song about the string of murders that happened in Juarez, Mexico, against specifically women. It was like they were being targeted, and Juarez is like a border town between Texas and Mexico, and that's part of why that song it's so gripping, and it's like it just shifts. It goes like a vocal line that's by itself, and it shifts, and it goes into this super hard outro, and then Cedric lets out probably one of the craziest, most visceral screams in any song you'll ever hear. and I was like, the first time I had heard that song in my life, it floored me and it changed my brain fundamentally. And every time I go back and listen to that album, it's still like, what the fuck? That and King Park and I See Everything by La Dispute are two songs where the first time I listened to it, the lyricism was so heavy, and it doesn't beat around the bush with heavy topics.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I understand, not wanting to talk about that, it took a long time for me to work up the courage to write something about that. I think the fact that people aren't willing to go there, it makes me a little sad, because it's like, well, if we're emo but we're only going to talk about breakups, what are we really talking about? So I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to go there. I'm going to make it a little uncomfortable and sad for everyone. And yeah, I remember we're in the studio, and dude, I was like crying during recording that. And like, I remember telling Adam, like, yeah, you got to turn the volume on this down. I'm going to start screaming. He's like, screaming? And I was like, screaming. He was still, I remember his like eyes shot up when he saw what I was doing. It was crazy. But yeah, that's the one part in the album where I just decided to go there. And then the next song, Billions, the first lyric in it is you saw me under duress, and that's the side I didn't want you to see, which is a direct reference to what you just heard in the previous song. That's intentional.
Okay.
It's intentional. Because it's so happy sounding, right? It's like tonal whiplash. That's going to be one of those songs people will be like, why the fuck didn't you close the album on that? And I'm like, you put it at the end, people won't listen.
Yeah, solid point. Like, yeah, because putting it at 5, like, that's the intentional choice of like, hey, you're gonna listen to this album, whether you get to song 8 or 9, that's on you, but you're listening to this song no matter what. And it's gonna be it's such a good song. As much as it is like out of left field, especially like where it's sitting with like the two like tracks around it, but it rips so hard. And then when you guys get to that heaviness of just everything, like you said, not a lot of people are doing that right now, depending on the age of the person and what we're listening to, but like doing something like that right now is I think the one thing that is gonna keep setting this record apart. And like, I know it's not even out yet while we're talking about this record, but this is like probably one of my top records so far this year.
Appreciate that. Yeah, but track listing was a thing that was very intentional. The first 3 are like a suite of like super fun songs, and then Sour Notes, it has that big like long outro that's extended. It starts to get pretty sad. You feel a little bit. You're like, ooh, that was pretty sad. That's probably the sad one on the album. Go fuck yourself, man. Yeah, really, the second half of the album is pretty sad. There's the fun, really bouncy ones, but there's the acoustic one that's super sad. Motor City, that's pretty sad. So if you look at it in whole, there's like 4 out of the 10 songs that are just kind of bummers. Sour Notes isn't that much of a bummer because it's so fun. It's got like that little vibe to it. A lot of that's Kiefer's bass work too. It's just like it's too fun, I think, for people to understand how sad it is.
I feel like that's like one thing that happens a lot in music though, is like you will have like these bouncy bass lines and things like that that'll make the song sound like happier than what it really is. And then when you finally get to like that like 3rd or 4th, maybe even 5th listen, and then you finally like start paying attention to what the lyrics are, and then you kind of just take a step back and you're like, oh, they were going through some shit. Like that's crazy.
People are going to be, it's funny because Golden Brace is going to be the exact opposite. People are going to be so fucked up by the outro, they're not going to notice Keeper's doing a bass tapping. Keep, can you explain the process of that riff? Because I just want to know what was going through your mind on that.
There's like that long ass section where it's just guitar and vocals. And when I was practicing the song, getting ready to go to the studio, originally that outro section was just like power chords, maybe a fill or two here. But during that like long ass build up, I always like would mess around and do like a Mars Volta style bass solo just while I waited for the next part to come on. Because I was like, I didn't want to like skip forward for the next part. So I would just literally just like noodle around, and I found that arpeggio. And then I could probably just like do this as a tapping line. I think I actually wrote it initially without tapping. I can play it with a pick without tapping it at all, but it's funnier to tap it. So I decided I can just tap this. I think it's a little bit easier to tap it than it is to pick it, but yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna do it, and then when we got to this studio and I went to track it, I was pretty ready to cut it and just like do something else or do something simpler, but it just like our producer fucked with it, so we kept it.
Yeah,
Adam,
yeah.
Adam really liked it. Adam was really fucking hype on it and was like, you gotta keep that in. And then he
Yeah, it's
turned
very
it up
funny.
like loud as hell. He turned it up so loud in the mix at the end, which I fuck with, but it's like so I can hear it. I can hear it literally perfectly, and there's so much going on in that section. But I can hear my bass. It's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. You know, I established it with Kiefer at the beginning because when they had joined, I'd only really seen them play guitar. They weren't really much of a bassist, and they're a shredder. And when I come into the band with songs, I have the whole thing written besides the bass because I own a bass, but I can't really play it, and also I can't hear bass very well in my mind, but I can hear everything else. So I literally told Kiefer because I like that skate punk shit too, right? You know, your lag wagons and your no effects is. So I love crazy bass lines, and I remember just telling Kiefer just directly. I was like, so do whatever you want on the bass, and if I don't like it, I'm going to tell you to change it. And we've never had that conversation, and it was so funny because they sent me like the day before they were going to the studio, they were sending me like the bass tapping thing, and I was like, so you're gonna have a bass tapping section while I'm having a mental breakdown?
I didn't even send it to you. I posted it on fucking Twitter.
Yeah, but I was like, so you're gonna have a bass tapping section while I'm having a mental breakdown? And then I just kind of like shrugged and I went, but there's not really a lead in that section, so like, yeah, I'll hear it out. I was down for it. I really was. I was hoping it would sound good, but yeah, we both probably thought it would get cut, and it just sounded too good. It sounded too good. Kiefer does an excellent job, and when I do boring stuff on the guitar, they step up and they go, "I'm the lead now." I think Billions is a perfect example of that, where they just in that chorus, I'm just playing like a little walk down, basically the same thing, but like the like bass note that I play that you can barely hear because I intentionally took a lot of bass out of my guitar in recording. You can barely hear. That's the only thing that changes. So for most people, they're just going to hear most of that chord, which stays the same, and then Keeper just gets to ride over top it, right? Every time I go back to Billions, I hear that bass line, and it's so cool, man. It's so cool. They just kicked ass. They just really, and they just kicked ass. They didn't take more than like a couple takes on any section besides like the hardest part on the album, which we can talk about later. But like they just came and rocked. Kicked my ass, dude. I got my ass kicked in the studio.
Before we jump to that segue, I do want to point out also the second single that came out, something about a bunch of dead dreams. You guys did a music video for it, which was a phenomenal watch. For people that haven't checked it out, one, what are you doing? Please go check it out. But not to give too much away, obviously there's a little bit of a wedding sequence, a little bit of a runaway groom, and then a bunch of people chasing y'all down the street, while also having some live shots from inside the garage, which I thought that was put together super well and like done great, and just like the little just cheekiness of it all was really fun.
Yeah, that's why I throw it to Matthew Rayo from the Summer Shack with this filament. I kind of spent like, after we got the first mixes of that song and we knew we were going to do a music video for it, I spent a few weeks kind of brainstorming. Joe and I talked about a few different ideas that we both had and kind of like combined them all, and me and my partner sat down one night and made like a little storyboard with timestamps with everything, and just gave it to Matt, and we're like, make a music video out of it. And then we scheduled a date to film it. We filmed it here at the Goblin Zone, and we tried to promote it really well to get a bunch of people out. Maybe like 15, 20 people came out, which is probably about as well as you can hope for an open music video shoot, to be honest. And it was a lot of fun to film. Major shout out, to Matthew Rayo. My partner is, we literally wouldn't have been able to do without, quite literally, would not have been able to do without Izzy at like any of the shots, because he was integral to filming and setting it all up. And then also Tony Arroyo, who was on camera that day taking pictures for the set and helping us with promo and stuff.
Yeah, those three, they carried that set, man. They carried that and brought it to life. It was very cool. We talked about this, and it was so funny, the idea. Because I'd worn a suit or two in the past, and Kiefer loves wearing dresses, and I was like, I just looked at them and I was like, do you want to pretend to get married? And then we just shrugged and went, yeah, sure, why not? it was that simple. And then we both like Blink. We both like Blink quite a bit. They're known for their fucked up music videos. I love the Sum 41 music videos. Like when bands had that big money, or even like Primus, when bands had that big money and they did just crazy shit with their music videos. That's in my mind how music videos is supposed to be. If you don't do something dumb or silly with it, or like the Remo Drive You're Killing Me one, with them like walking and airplaying their instruments, it's like, if you don't do something charming with it, and I see you in a white room just playing the fucking song, dude, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, I think Sum 41's In Too Deep music video is probably like one of my favorite music videos like ever, just because of like the whole concept for it, and then like
it's very fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that one, and the Still Waiting one's really fun too, where they break the stage with like the sums. But like there's like so many where it's like, or like, dude, like the Always music video, the Blink 182 one, that's just straight up like a short film. There's so many cuts and like fun editing techniques in it. It's like, it's fantastic. In my mind, if you're gonna go for a music video, you gotta go all out. In it and have fun. Now, of course, if we storyboarded it for 6 months and structured it better, would it have gone better? Yeah, probably. But I think part of the charm is that it's a little scuffed.
You don't want it too polished. You just want it to be like just right.
Well, it's album one. We're not big yet. I gotta think. The guy who does the Hot Mulligan music videos, I think it's Michael Herrick.
Yeah.
He did the Saturdays a Year place. I think it was Waste Away, right? The one where they're in the ice cream and everything. They're in the ice cream truck, but like it's stuff like that where in my mind I'm like, if you're gonna do a music video, go all out on it. Have fun. Please don't stay in a white room. Don't do the white room, please. That white room has been ran through 4 white rooms.
Yeah, and I will say, like, obviously we're talking about bigger productions and and stuff like that, but I know I have friends back in Iowa, shout out TV Cop, that have done a lot of their music videos all on their iPhones, and they've still come out super well, and just taking the time to be creative with it and just do it on your own terms, and like just do what you want. You can have a great time.
They used iPhones to film like 28 years later.
Oh,
like
that's right.
That movie is filmed on an iPhone.
iPhones, there are 2 things about iPhones that are objectively true, and it's that the camera is way better than you think it is. It's just how you use it and how you set it up. And 2, the microphone is way better than you think it is, too. For recording acoustic guitar and vocal demos, you do not need a better microphone than the iPhone microphone if you set it up properly. There's a Jimmy Eat World song off of their recent album Surviving, where it starts with like an acoustic guitar intro. And Jim Adkins, he was doing this video during the pandemic because they record their stuff and they produce it on their own. But he was doing this video during the pandemic, and he played the raw recording because he was like, I'm just gonna place my phone down somewhere and just record the acoustic guitar in it. And you hear the raw audio of it, and he plays it, and he's like, "Yeah, so that sounds fantastic." And then he says, "All of these plugins, shit." I'm jerry rigging everything for my camera, but he goes, "All these plugins to make it sound bad." So he puts in like 8 plugins to make it sound like shit. Like he intentionally recorded something on his phone to sound bad, and then it sounded too good. And then later, in the final song on that album, "Congratulations," Davey Havoc, like Davey from AFI, does backing vocals, and he's in there, and he just recorded them on his iPhone microphone because Jim was like, "No, just record it on your iPhone; it'll sound good enough." And he was right. Now, I honestly think that like it would be an interesting experiment for someone to just record their phone and have a full like demo recording, maybe like an EP or like a for funsy thing. Because some bands do that thing where they record the whole album in one take or the whole thing in one take. I feel like you might be able to get away with doing that in an iPhone, and it would be an interesting experience, even if it's not sonically great. Maybe that's just me being insane because I've listened to too much hardcore punk and underground music. But I think it'd be fun. I think that'd be a fun experiment.
Now, are there any other ideas for music videos on this record that we might get to see at some point?
Not yet, but we can figure it out.
I had pitched an idea for a music video for Motor City where it'd be very like When I Come Around Green Day inspired, where it'd follow like Joe, Maverick, and I going through like our day to day and just like catastrophes would happen around us. But I think it'd be like the idea I had for it would be like impossible to film without the budget, so I don't think it's happening.
We might do it. I don't think and this is another thing about albums that I don't know how many people really think about it, but like the promotion for your album doesn't end when the album drops. It like kind of starts when your album drops. As weird as that is to say. But you shouldn't think about promotion too much. You know, focus on writing good tunes and then promo. But like once the songs are out, people will have better chance to listen to them. And if you release the music video a couple months afterwards, that's totally cool. You can release the music video fucking 2 years afterwards. It starts blowing up on TikTok. Who gives a shit? Music doesn't have rules. Music doesn't have as many rules as we like to believe. How is that any different from like the band Anberlin re-recording "Feel Good Drag" when they got signed to a major label like 2 years after they already recorded it? You know, they used to do stuff like that. And I think bands still probably do that. I don't know. I'm not tapped into a lot of big bands.
I think to an extent they somewhat still do, because you'll see it every once in a while where a band will get signed and it'll be like, hey, this is we're signing them to this label and it's their debut EP. It's like, how do they have nothing before this but they're getting signed? Well, it's because they just reworked everything and then wiped everything else so you don't know about it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, this is new, but it's really just for the old heads. It's always been out.
That does happen. Good point. But yeah, I music doesn't have as much rules as we like to think that it does. and a lot of success stories are one of one.
Yeah.
And bands just going out of their way and doing something weird. I'll be for real. I fumbled my little viral moment when Crunching Numbers had like 500,000 views on the reel when I recorded it before it even came out. But like now people know me. It's very funny to get like a comment on like when we're playing through like Open Fire or something, and some guy will be like, "Oh shit, you're making a comeback," and I'm like, "Comeback? Oh, I guess they're right." I technically had my viral moment, but like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
I will say, to kind of piggyback off that comment, "Open Fire," obviously the first single that y'all dropped off of this new album, is probably still like, I don't know, there's something about it that's still like my favorite song off of this album. Like, it's so fucking good.
It is.
And a hell of a song to kind of lead us into it.
Yeah, when I leaned in, when we were playing through it. It was one of the first ones that I'd written for the album. And when I did it, I came up with maybe I'm the bad guy. Came up with that like vocal line on that, and I went, okay. So then I went into my bag of tricks, and my bag of tricks was to say, make this the middle. So pull out all the stops and make it a pop hit. Have the weird like, and still have it be Joe, right? So have like the weird like, there's like the little jazzy breakdown thing where Maverick hits like the kalimba and everything right before it goes into the chorus again. That was so funny to see how that one came out. That was so sick. And then put a shitload of vocal layers in it, and have fun with it. I think Kiefer does such a good job on Open Fire for a lot of those background vocal harmonies. And it just sounded, when we were in the studio and we listened to that final chorus when it comes through, right after the little noodle, and the guitar lead comes in, I was blown away. I was like, damn, we might have written a good song. Might have. And that guitar solo was like last minute of like the day edition, and our producer Adam, he was so tired, and I was just like, dude, let me hit this real quick. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was doing it on the fly, and then eventually I was like, no, that sounds good. Because in my mind, like, if you're doing a third chorus, something has to be different in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that a lot on the album, actually. Anytime we do a third chorus, like on Billions, I have to do something different. It's just in my brain. I just can't. I can't. I don't know what band would have instilled that in me. Rise Against their third choruses are always have something different, or like a little thing at the end of it, like a little coda or something. They don't really tend to do 3 exact choruses in a row, but sometimes they do. They're a very formulaic band. As much as I love them, formulaic, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And I don't know. It was just like with that song, I didn't say no to any idea. I was just like, keep forgetting there and do this. Like any dumb ideas that didn't work, they didn't work. Kiefer jokes to me about this all the time. I was gonna have like a maniacal laugh in the background of the Tackle the Heavens, like I'm fucking insane. And Kiefer laughs at me about this because it would have been a pretty shitty idea. It probably would have killed the song if that one got through. But yeah, that one, I can't lie, songwriting wise, structure wise, super complex song. Doesn't sound complex, but it is. It is. It's tough. It's like the only song that Drake from Clipboards, who is like one of the best drummers in not only DIY right now, and Clipboards is probably straight up just like the most underrated band in DIY emo underground right now. That's the only song he ever had trouble with, just because structurally there's so much going on with it. I don't know. I just kept cooking, and I was like, I like this song. I'm gonna keep adding more to it. Let's keep adding more. Because in my brain, I'm like, in the middle, there's the cowbell and the fucking guitar solo. Add more. Yeah. So then that's how that song came to be. And then of course Open Fire, Dead Dreams goes right into Open Fire on the album, and we play them back to back live. So they're 2 super dense, there's a lot going on in those songs. There's a lot. Doesn't sound like it. If you sit there and listen to the parts, your brain's gonna get confused by the dumb shit I wrote on it. And it doesn't even help that like Kiefer's just killing it on bass and writing some of the craziest parts I'd heard them write. Kiefer, we agree, right? The little waiting everlasting thing in Dead Dreams is like the hardest section for us in the album that we play regularly. It's fucked up. The little palm muting thing that I'm doing, because I'm down picking that whole palm muting thing. It's tough. It's tough.
With this album, y'all are doing kind of like 2 album release shows. I know the one in Lansing is going to have probably like the is going to be the bigger one, but you're also doing one in Chicago. What obviously Lansing hometown, got to do it there. But like, what's the why was Chicago so special to kind of get its own little release show as well?
Is the keeper question?
Originally, we were gonna do 3 shows. We were gonna do an Ohio show too, and we just wanted to do like a little promotional weekender. But our Ohio show fell through, and I didn't feel like booking another one. So we just stuck with Chicago and and Lansing. And specifically Chicago, because I think it's kind of maybe probably most likely the place where Tequila has the second most saturated listener / fan base and the most associated bands that we are friends with. When I was running the Goblin Zone, had I don't even know, probably 10 bands from Illinois, like overall Illinois, but like 7 or 6 bands from Chicago alone play my house. So we just have a lot of friends there, and just was gonna be a fun place. I really wanted to get back to book club and play the new book club location, because I haven't played book club's new location. I don't think Joe has played book club at all.
I did.
With Final Boss Fight when you guys were on that tour.
One before.
We're not gonna talk about that.
Maybe the Final Boss Fight too. Yeah, but yeah.
So I just really wanted to get back to book club too, and then I heard the opportunity to book a really cool show out of it, because I hit up initially 10 Months Summer, or I hit up Background Character. I messaged Jenny because she's the best, and I messaged her and said, "Hey, what venue should we play at? Can Background Character play with us?" And she said, "Yeah." Hit up book club for sure. I hit up book club. Book club hit me back right away, and then I hit up 10 Months Summer to play, and they said, "Oh, Background Characters on it. Well, you should have Valacia on, because we are releasing a 3-way split with them pretty soon, and it'd be cool to have this be like a review show for that." So I was like, "Oh, heck yeah, I'm making it happen." And it was like I had to pull some strings, and we had to switch days and change hours and do a bunch of stuff to make it so all 3 bands were available on the same day at the same time. But managed to work it out, and probably it hasn't even happened yet, but already like top 10 shows I've ever booked. Just like really cool, really honored that I get to like put together and put on and promote their 3-way split release show out of it. And then we're just kind of tacked on as special guests to help promote our album, kind of serving as like almost an album release show in a way, but
Yeah, lineups for both of those shows look phenomenal. Like they're out of this world. And obviously, Kiefer, like you mentioned, doing the Goblin Zone, you've gotten a chance to meet a lot of these bands, and how we were kind of talking about before, the episode started. I've always heard great things about the Goblin Zone. Unfortunately, I live in Minneapolis, so I never had a chance to go and see it in person. But I know when I had Thanks I Hate It on late last year, they couldn't stop saying nice things about that venue and how much they miss it.
Yeah, they're like kind of one of our sibling bands in a way. And I play for Thanks I Hate It pretty often. Most times they come to Michigan. I play guitar for them. But they were the first touring band I ever had play the Goblin Zone. Like the first band that wasn't from Michigan, and they're from California. So it's just kind of this really weird, crazy circumstance of how it all worked out. But yeah, they're the best. I love Thanks I Hate It.
Them and Palette Knife, they got removed like last minute, and it was such a great show. Made a lot of foundational memories there, and we have been friends ever since. And of course, it was like a super fun, like to watch them in Excellency when it was outside that one year. Watch Kiefer play just huge like tent with like 100, 200 people with Thanks I Hate It, and it's just like super cool, They're awesome. Their new record's really good. They keep getting slept on. I don't know why. I don't know why they keep getting slept on. They write some of the most catchy songs out of like anyone right now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I feel this. I feel the same way. That like I literally just listened to that album yesterday. It's one of mine that I think was probably one of my top 3 records of last year. And it's one that I still like continuously will just go and like and play it because it's fucking phenomenal. Like what they put together.
it toes the line between emo and pop punk in a way that a lot of bands wish that they could do gracefully, and that's the way that I would describe it. Um, it's very funny because I think we like towing the line between emo and like, post-hardcore. So it's very funny that we're chumming it up with them, but they've been hardcore fans of us since I was just an acoustic act in Kiefer ran the Goblin Zone. So we are eternally grateful to them. And obviously Palette Knife, who was on that bill too. Fantastic band. I think their album, I don't know when this is coming out, it'll be around then. But,
Yeah, their new
Palette
album will be out before this episode drops.
410, 410. Listen to Palette Knife on 410.
Yeah.
Really good shit, man. Really good shit. I like that they're doing the like super aggressive BD sound that they do on Ponderosa Snake House. It's a little less produced than New Game Plus, which I love. But I kind of like how much bite and aggression they have on the guitar tones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're killing it. They understand Midwest emo better than almost any other band does. Right? They got it. And Alec Palette Knife, his lyricism is so unique to him because I think he's so unabashedly nerdy. Like this song is about Gundam. Fuck you if you don't like Gundam. And like Sam Thinks I Hate It obviously also has a super unique voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know how else to say it. There are very few vocalists that have like this like lovable earnesty and awkwardness to the way, in a nice way, a little bit awkward in like a nice way. I think about like Thursday is another one of those bands where Jeff Rickley, he sounds a little awkward, but he just cares so much that you're like, oh, I love this guy. Like, I want to hug this person. I'm trying to think of other artists who are like that, where they are just so earnest in their delivery. And Sam keeps on getting better on every release. They sound so incredible on the latest record. And that's part of the fun of investing in these bands early, is that you get to hear, like, I was there with 6 people to see Ben Quater on I'm Scared That's All There Is, and to see where they are now. And some of those inflections that Sam does on the album, it's like, damn, dude, you got so much confidence in yourself now. Like, listen to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're at an interesting point where a lot of the big bands right now have existed for a while or are just popping up and are writing even more mature versions of the stuff that they've already released. Sweet Pills album should be out. The singles are very good. And, you know, Arm's Length seems to keep on getting more mature. Hot Mulligan seems to keep on getting more mature. Saturdays, obviously, the These Things Happen album is so mature. Even Carl Cosgrove. Like, these bands that are genuinely headlining now, you listen to their next releases and they aren't, like, stagnating, although they have similar sounds. They're, like, becoming more mature. And even if the songs sound poppier, they're talking about more adult themes, and you know, it's kind of interesting to see right now. It's interesting to see because usually scenes stagnate and just do the same thing.
Yeah,
and that's why
I brought that up on a episodes before, where like the thing that I love about all these bands right now is like the stuff that they're putting out is changing with the times. So like we're not listening to. Like we can think back to like Newfound Glory, where they're still talking about like sometimes high school shit in their 30s, but like the bands today, we're in our 30s or getting close to our 30s, but we're talking about shit that's happening now in our lives. So it's almost more relatable than anything else too.
They're growing up with us. There are some bands that just stagnated and stayed popular until the trend dies, and there are some bands that grow up, and the ones that grow up tend to last. There's a reason why Thrice just released an Audio Tree Live, or the Audio Tree Underground, whatever that was, this year. despite the fact that they are 30 years into being a band. It's because they keep evolving, changing their sound, and growing up with their audience. And even someone who's 20 years younger can appreciate that, you know? And it's really weird because the thing is that if you make good music, eventually the perception around you will come back and be positive if people keep talking about you. A lot of bands on TikTok that blow up, it's like 2009 Japanese post-hardcore band, The Massive Fermenting Dregs. Why? Because people like J-Rock, and then they hear one of their songs and they go, "Oh shit!" Or like the "You're out there counting stars, she's on the train to Mars." That song, after like 30 years, became a TikTok hit. Why? Because it's fucking good. Duster of all bands. 16-year-old kids know Duster more than they probably know Block Party, which doesn't make sense because that first Block Party album is fucking awesome. But like, if you write good music, even if it doesn't happen immediately, some people will come around to it.
No.
I guarantee you right now, Snowing, when they do those reunion shows and they play those festivals, are playing to bigger crowds than they probably did at 90% of the shows that they were playing when Fourth Wave was at its peak, right? You know, Snowing or like even Algernon or whatever, like the appreciation for these bands who write good music is getting bigger after like a decade. And that's just because people keep talking about them and giving them great words and saying nice things about them. And that's how you translate to real fans instead of like huge blow up, 500,000 monthly listeners, and then they're just gone the next week. So,
yeah.
No one's going to go to the Maneskin 10-year anniversary tour. No one's going to go to the Greta Van Fleet 10-year anniversary tour. Sorry about that one, by the way. That's a Michigan fumble. We're sorry about that one.
That's okay. We forgive you.
We can take fault in that one. We can take fault on Rob Ritchie, Kid Rock. Sorry about that one. I'm trying to think of other terrible Michigan artists. Yeah, I mean ICP. Yeah, I mean that's ICP. They're yeah. But we gave you a lot of dispute.
That's true. I feel like the amount of good stuff that has come out of Michigan music wise definitely outweighs the bad that has come out of Michigan, which is astronomical. How much it outweighs it. So it's at least good in that aspect.
Because we've given you some really bad. We've given you some really bad. I'm sorry about that one.
But going back to stuff that's really good, I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything on between like Tequila Mockingbird or You Always Felt Lost that you want the people to know about.
Oh, yeah. I'll just say it right now. The songs that are named after other bands. So A Lot Like Mockingbirds is obviously named after the post-hardcore band from the 2010s called A Lot Like Birds. Super technical band. They were in that progressive post-hardcore genre, and the Hail of Sun's my favorite band. So I didn't do a Hail of Sun reference this time. I'm sure I will eventually. But I mentioned A Lot Like Birds because, dude, that band is incredible. Conversation Piece and No Place Still hold up. If you're a young, impressionable mind, yo, you gotta spin those. You'll go. The craziest technical stuff you'll ever hear with super cool melodies and everything. Great band. Dead Dreams is obviously named after the Hot Mulligan song, something about a bunch of dead dogs. I found out about Hot Mulligan in 2019 because I was at Riot Fest, and then I was there to see Glassjaw play Worship and Tribute in full. And H2O had just finished. He was like a New York hardcore legends. So then all the big buff guys left, and then a bunch of small people with dyed hair came over to that stage, and I was like, what is happening? And then I heard Gary live for the first time, and I had no clue who that band was, and they were like, we're Hot Mulligan from Michigan, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but this is special, and I have to follow it. And they just kept getting bigger, and they're huge inspiration. I think I started learning how to play guitar during the pandemic. I was a drummer forever, but I started really focusing on learning how to play the guitar during the pandemic, and there was a guy called Matt Attack who was doing great tabs for the Hot Mulligan songs all the way up until You'll Be Fine. I think he still does them, but You'll Be Fine and previously. So I started learning guitar from just covering those. So I thought it was fun to reference them.
Yeah.
I still like them. I like Hot Mulligan. I know that they're in the, I don't want to say stasis, but I know that they've found their sound and they've been doing it for a while and they're very popular, so people are annoyed with them. But like, guys, they're still pretty good. They're still pretty. I'm trying to think of other song titles that reference other bands. Yeah, the acoustic track "Does It All Make Sense Now" is a reference to a lyric off of At the Drive-In's album "In Casino Out." It's off of the track "Lopsided," and they keep referring to that line. They say, "Does it all make sense now?" And I just thought I'd reference that because I love that album. And that album is, in my mind, the pinnacle of like DIY ethos, because that band was touring in a fucking van going across the country playing like classrooms and bowling alleys with second wave emo bands, you know. There's that. I don't know if there's any other song on the record that has like a direct reference to bands from the title, but I reference Rise Against lyric in Dead Dreams, "A flower that you pulled the stem out and let wilt." That's a direct quote from, like a play on words from the song "The Good Left Undone." In Sour Notes, I say the lyric, "I'm slow at times, but I'm not fucking stupid." And I didn't even realize this until I was listening to Insomniac a couple months ago. But there's that lyric on Stewart in the Avenue where it says, "I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid enough to stay with you." And I just shrugged and I went, yeah, so that definitely rubbed off on me. There was a Final Boss Fight lyric where it was off Spitney Beers and it's 5 hours of drunk sleep. And then I used the lyric 4 hours of drunk sleep. And I told Sage one day, I was like, dude, I did not mean to rip off that line. I just did. So there's moments like that. People keep mentioning the supermassive black hole. What's it called? The supermassive black hole thing is a Muse thing. I've only heard that Muse album a couple times. That's the only one's like super unintentional. But most of them it's done on purpose because I truly love the genres of post-hardcore and emo. So I just sprinkled a little bit of references in there. Why not?
Yeah.
Wear our influences on our sleeve. Have a little love letter to the stuff that has influenced us. And those guitar parts are hard. And singing while playing them is tough. But yeah, anyone who listens to it, if you share it to your friends and they listen to it, that is as impactful as anything else that you could do. We really didn't feel like going to a label for this because it just didn't feel worth it. We kind of wanted to take a chance on ourselves and knew the songs were good. And word of mouth is the most powerful thing that you can do as a human being to change anything around you, let alone influencing your friends to listen to music. If you're worried that you're going to be considered a dork, just remember my theater kid friends who only listen to like the emo Trinity and 21 Pilots. I was trying to show them Let Live and At the Drive-In and Glassjaw, and yeah, that didn't work. So don't feel bad. Just start recommending music to people. Who gives a shit? Yeah. And I guess the other thing, I don't like doing this. The album is very bluntly about me being autistic. Probably autistic. And it's weird. And life is scary. But yeah, I just decided to talk about it because I feel like a lot of times bands beat around the bush. And I was just like, nope, yeah. Life is tough right now. And I'm insecure about a lot of things. I can't lie. Insecure about a lot of things and scared about the future. And you're going to experience a lot of shit that's going to change your life for the worse. And we're going to keep living through bad historical events. That's not going to change. It's happening throughout all human history. But I think it's our job in this extremely individualistic society to try and carve out a path for ourselves and try and not be as individualistic. And that's honestly, that's the message. You know, we got to try and move forward and create bonds with people that matter and try not be so individualistic. And then write cool tunes. Pick up a guitar, start playing. Doesn't matter if you suck. Who cares if you suck? I sucked when I first started. And then that's how I met Kiefer. First show that I had ever played. I think I had met Kiefer there, and I don't even know where my life would be without them. And Kiefer, you got anything to say about the album? Sorry, I keep yapping.
Not really. Just if you have the means to, please start a venue. There's never enough venues. There's too many bands, not enough venues.
That's a good point, man. That's a good point, man. You got any tips for people who are starting a venue? Can we give them 3 tips?
Don't book bands that are only white men. Just don't book them at all. Don't just don't book them at all. Like if the band is only white men, do not book the band, please. Sorry to say. Save yourself the trouble. Just save yourself the trouble. Avoid any possible controversy. Just all white men, don't book them. Sorry.
Oh man. And for the bands that are the good ones, sorry. Sorry. Especially if it's like 5 or 6 of them. The more that's just a band of just white dudes.
Yeah, there's too many. Like 3 tops, three members that are just white cis males. That's, I think, the max you can do.
There's good bands out there, great bands that are all white men. But there's so many that are not great bands that it's kind of like I forget. I might credit the wrong person, but I'm pretty sure it was either Nish or Charlie from 10 Month Summer who said their dad said something about a single drop of piss ruins an entire glass of milk. I know. I'm kind of goofing. I'm goofing a little bit. I
mean, that's a crazy analogy, but I get it.
They're obviously.
I'm goofing a bit, a little far. I'm goofing a little bit. Book whoever you want. Book bands, but just make sure you are platforming intentionally as often as you can, and as many bands that are queer and have members of POC, femme members. Prioritize them. Put them at the forefront. Yeah. That's like the number one thing you can do as a booker. I'm goofing a little bit. You can book bands that are all over.
Yeah, that's chill. You can also try your best to book younger bands because they need opportunities to start, and a lot of bands don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It's really hard to start if you don't have a connection. So being the person to give the band the spark to think that they can do it is super important. And then also, I'm gonna be so for real. If you want to create a culture of people who stay for the whole show, you gotta book bands who stay for the whole show. You gotta tell people to lead by example. And we have an awesome community of people in Lansing who, if you go to a show in Lansing, Sage Boss Fight will probably be there. Sage Boss Fight, Sage No Problemo will probably be there, and he'll be there the whole show. Gavin from No Problemo will be there the whole show. Kate from No Problemo will be there the whole show. Billy from Final Boss Fight will be there the whole show. They don't leave like midway through. And that's the people that you choose to platform will create the space around you, and you got to lead by example. If you're respectful, you show up for the whole sets, you do your best to be there, people are gonna be there. If you keep on showing up to shows and making friends, which is the whole point of this music shit, right? Is that we make friends, find people who have commonality with us. That's what we're doing this for. You can't just do it just to go to the show. I mean, life sucks. life kind of sucks. The 1% has oppressed us so much, and we feel like that we're completely disconnected with people, and that there's no one who understands our struggles. But if you are one of those individuals who go to a local show, you're already so far away from most of the public. And 90% of the people at the show that you're going to are probably friendly, will talk to you, will make friends with you. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I understand. Like I said, autistic, it's hard to be the first person to reach out and talk to somebody for the first time. But if you don't do that, I don't make friends with Kiefer. If I don't make friends with Kiefer, this band probably doesn't exist in the way that it does. And I don't have one of my greatest friends ever. And there's so many people like that in the music scene that have helped us. we become friends with so many people across the entire country, purely from just going out of our way to just be nice to people. Um, you can just be nice to people. You can flip the switch in your brain that says everyone hates you and say, they might, but I'm still going to be nice to them. And I swear it'll get better for you. I swear. I I swear. Sir, if you just try to treat people with kindness, it'll work out eventually. Then you'll be able to. It doesn't matter if you even make good music. Just be nice. You can make friends with some of the coolest people in the world and befriend some of perceived to be completely unattainable people. Because the thing is that a lot of us are just human beings in these bands. We're just human beings. I'm telling you right now, 90% of the people in those bands, they go back to work and they work a 9 to 5. You know, they're a delivery boy after they come back. You know how demoralizing that is. Go out of your way to talk to these people, especially random people in the crowd. If you hear someone say something about like, "Yo, dude, I love Thursday," and you like Thursday, chime in. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? It's okay to be cringe. It's okay to just put yourself out there. Oh, what? Someone's gonna talk about, hey, remember when that guy said he loved Thursday and we didn't know him? They're gonna forget that in like a week. Who gives a shit? You can do whatever you want. You can walk into a department store right now with only underwear on, and people will talk about it for maybe like a month max. Like all the rules in our society are meant to be at least challenged or broken, and people don't really care that much about you unless you make them care about you. So go out of your way, talk to people, make a community, and then you can DM a bunch of people and say, "Hey, we're writing a song called Microscopic Scenes. Can you just talk like you're at a venue?" And you can get like 10 cameos on your album just because you're nice.
No, yeah, those are all that's all solid advice for everyone listening. Uh, go meet those people at shows, build a community in any way, and like if you like, that's the only way you can be part of a scene is you gotta kind of come out of your shell a little bit and take that first step sometimes.
It
Which can
sucks.
it
It
sucks
sucks.
and it can be difficult as hell, but once you do it, it's life changing in the best way.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, this album's sick and it's so good. I know we kind of talked about it at the beginning of it's LP1, so it's kind of like this new era of Tequila Mockingbird. So my final question to the two of you is from starting with LP1 and we're getting into this new era, like what can people expect from this new era of Tequila Mockingbird?
I don't know.
Explain more.
The future is open, man. We don't really know what the perception of the album's gonna be, and our plans are relatively open. Um, but the fact of the matter is, the more you show your support, the more we're gonna see it. Um, and it's tough to get out to certain areas of the country. It's tough to do all that stuff, but the more support you show us, the more worthwhile it would be in theory, right? Uh, I don't know, man. I want to play fun shows. I want to write music that relates to people uh, on a deep level and helps them get through things that's tough. Just like music has done for me time and time again. I take influence more from like a Touche Amore than I do say a Newfound Glory. But we're hoping that the sad songs, even if you skip them, I get it. I get it. We're hoping the sad songs can help you when you're going through something, and that the fun songs you can just bump when you're having a good time, man. We'll be around at shows. You can talk out. You can talk to us, reach out to us. Just because we released a album that we're super proud of or that we think is good doesn't mean that we're unapproachable. You can ask us any question at shows that we're at. Happily oblige. And yeah, I mean, new era, fun riffs. rock and roll music. Rock and roll music. There's two ways the band goes from here. Either we start to mellow out and we become a country band in like 10 years, or we just become a mathcore band in 10 years. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Either way, we'll be along for the ride.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Don't expect the exact same sound on the next album. That's just not the type of guy I am. The bands that I like don't repeat themselves ad nauseum, and if they do, they're really good. So anticipate something changes, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Or it's all bad. Anticipate it's all bad. We're going downhill. This is our greatest hits. This is our Rio Drive greatest hits. It's all downhill from.
I mean, like I said before, this is a phenomenal album. I'm really stoked to kind of see what this new era is going to look like for Tequila Mockingbird, and you know, if the next album doesn't sound like this, I'm stoked to see what wild stuff you guys put in it.
We'll probably
so it'll be a great time when that one comes out. If anyone's looking for merch, music, or Tequila Mockingbird in general, where can they find it?
Oh my god, dude! The merch is fucked. I'll try and get a merch shop up for it. I'm sorry, I'm broke. What do you want from me? But we'll get the merch up. If you want the music, it's everywhere. Low key, the Bandcamp, I just uploaded the master straight up, so that's where the best music is. And I've posted the lyrics on Lyric Find for like 3 weeks now, and they're still not up. But all the lyrics are on Bandcamp, so if they're not on Apple Music, Spotify, it's not I can't control it. If you have a Music Match account, you can just put them up from the Bandcamp. They'll all be from there. And then the Instagram is probably where we're gonna post about shows the most, because it's just the easiest to. Don't follow my personal Twitter if you want to have a good opinion on me. You have anything else to say about this era or anything? Oh yeah, follow the Goblin Zone account. Keeper always shouts us out and does amazing shows in Lansing, and they do like fit checks and shit, and their fits rule. I got white boy fashion. Keeper has a sick fashion. Keeper, say anything. You can punch me if you want to.
I have much to say. Just shout out the playing generation of house venues in Lansing, House of Glen, the Chris. I'm forgetting the other one right now. There's a couple others, but shout out to current generation keeping us going and keeping us moving forward. Love y'all.
Yeah, thank you to all the people who have made the album possible. Tyler Floyd, Adam. I always forget Adam's last name for some reason. Adam Whitener. Thank you to those people, and I'm going to say thank you to Keegan, who does Sleep in the Heat, because he's doing the cassettes for us. Any of the people who have done things and helped us out on our journey, who have booked us, who have been very gracious to us in the past. Because, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'd be alive without this whole music thing. And you can get involved a lot easier than you think. You can just make a podcast, have fun, talk to people, make friends. You can do whatever you want. I mean, the world is your oyster. We just want to say thank you to the people who are supporting us. Thank you to the people who have been supporting us, and the people who even just heard the album yesterday and looked this up. Because your support still matters at any stage. And I don't know. I love post-hardcore. I love emo. That's why we made the album sound the way that it does. And if you love that, you can just comment under the post and I'll reply. I'm not gonna. If you got questions, I'll answer the questions. You know what I mean? We're open books. You can ask us the dumbest shit ever, and we'll probably tell you. You could ask us for our exact rig, and we would tell you it down to the gear. We have no secrets. We're not hiding secrets.
Oh yeah. Well, everyone, make sure you go listen to You Always Felt Lost. Get those numbers up. Be ready for the tapes when they drop, and be ready for upcoming shows and all that fun stuff. One last big thank you to Joe and Kiefer for taking the time out of your Saturday to sit down with me and talk about your band.
Yeah, no, it's an honor. You just get to yap.
Like I said, everyone be sure to follow Tequila Mockingbird. Be ready for everything coming next, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.
Beers with Bears. Beers with Bears.